Well, it's time for us to talk movies with JP Sebastian, some new movie trailers that's been released. And it is part 2. JP Sebastian is here, and I know that you always have a bit of a theme when it comes to grouping the movie trailers or even the new movies releasing for us. So let's start off with The Night is Short, Walk On Girl. I feel like I didn't say that right. The Night is Short, Walk On Girl.
I think you're going to have a harder time saying it in her mental state that she's in, because the character is a almost Olympic-level drinker.
Binge drinker.
Yes. I don't know if this reminds you of your college days.
No, I was not that student.
Okay.
Nope.
No one's judging. But the theme, if you want to know, is just eye candy generally. And, well, I suppose there's certain Japanese themes to this too, but we'll get into that by the second movie. So The Night is Short, Walk On Girl is by an animator named Masaaki Yosa. And he's got such a particular style to him. People may recognize from more recent stuff like Devilman Crybaby. The anime fans out there might know what I'm talking about. And I think my first brush was when he was asked to do a guest episode of Adventure Time. He has this strange, amazingly fluid way of portraying his characters in these relationships and the weird interactions they have, which is such a strange thing, because you're watching an animation already, which is something that's breaking the rules. Humans are usually what we look like, but as you get used to an animation, you're like, okay, well, this is normal too. And then he breaks the rules of that, and you're like, is that even allowed? Anyway, all that aside, let's talk a bit about the story. So yes, she's this character who is in her university years. She goes on a fun night out with no sort of like strings attached, no sort of plans or anything like that. No, I don't mean in that sense necessarily, because you just laugh very nervously, but it's a perfectly natural thing, Zoe. So it goes from bar to bar with her friend, and all the while has been hunted down by a guy who has a crush on her desperately, and just sort of like from the shadows heaps praise on her and tells poetry about her. His name is Senpai, simply, which just means teacher. And it makes this sort of first date idea seem like a complete bananas adventure rather than like the serene, hey, let's go for a cup of coffee type thing. He decides he's going to find the one book that she's been talking about nonstop, but she seems totally nonplussed and just wants to drink and have a good time with her friends. Looks hilarious for that reason, in that you've got this like guy who's just desperate to like pour out his bleeding heart to her, and she's just like, just calm down and have a drink, dude. So
it's almost like the roles are reversed at one stage. Like he's the needy one, she's the nonchalant one, if I may put it that way.
I feel like I can take a hint. Okay, I'll stop talking.
No, but it's also like, I think when the idea impression I got from this trailer is you're kind of asking yourself the question, is it by chance, is it fate, is it a coincidence?
Yeah, and he's all contrived, and he has plans about how he's going to win her heart, but she's just like, cool, dude. So, like I said, previously this dude's work, he did another movie called Mind Game, which I'd encourage you to look up. Totally just like mind-warping, kind of fascinating animation capacity that this dude has, his creativity, and he brings that to something that's as completely mundane as someone desperately just trying to ask someone on a date, with all the major sort of consequence to it.
Interesting, very interesting.
Against this very creative backdrop, so I look forward to that.
Now, I'm very excited to get to the next trailer that we're about to unpack, Godzilla versus Kong.
What grabbed you about this?
It's Godzilla versus King Kong, but it's Kong. Godzilla versus Kong. It's just like it's the two merging. It's like anyone's fear of thinking like the one's going to come out and the other one's going to break.
This is how you occupy your time at night, wondering if Godzilla might return. He's not real, dear. So Godzilla's about as real as the Tooth Fairy. I'll explain that to you later.
I'm loving the cast. I see Millie Bobby Brown, who I have a fascination with. Alexander Skarsgård is in there, as well as Rebecca Hall.
You love Skarsgård from, was it Pretty Young Liars, the TV show with Reese Witherspoon?
Yes, Big Little Lies.
Big Little Lies. So he's doing something a bit different here. He's not your dashing six-pack man. He's clearly just a frumpy sort of like hiking vest wearing dude.
He can never look bad.
Yeah, well, you know. It's not something I know about necessarily, but Kong versus Godzilla. Godzilla versus Kong. So these two universes collide. One is a national treasure of Japan, Godzilla, and the other one was formed by, I think it was Universal Pictures in the 30s. And I think a bunch of fans are sort of like very worried about, does this make Godzilla the bad guy in this? Because the humans, as you can see in the trailer, are transporting Kong. Skarsgård is saying, we need him right now. Like, you know, it's make or break for humanity. Godzilla shows up really angry. I think feels like a jilted ex in a way, because didn't Godzilla help out in the last Godzilla movie, but now they're getting Kong to fight Godzilla, so humans make up your mind. Like, I believe Godzilla like put his head on the block for humanity, and now we just switch to Kong. Like,
well, it's going to be a battle, and I think what's going to be interesting is when this movie comes out is to see who's going to be victorious. I just feel like you shouldn't put them up against each other. You should just like merge the...
Oh, you can't choose a favorite then.
No, you can't.
I mean, like, I appreciate Kong's effort, because in the movie where they're on the island, Kong Skull Island, cleverly named, he was 100 foot high, and now suddenly he's 400 foot high, so the directors like try to reconcile that as well. They're like, well, I don't know, the ape drank protein shakes or something, but Godzilla vs. Kong comes out in South Africa 26th of March, if I got that correct. And like you said, there are a lot of big names to it, but honestly, do we care about the humans involved?
Yes, we do.
No, sure, of course. Like, there's drama down there too, but they're like the size of a Kong toe. But, you know, I hope that, unlike some of the last movies we've seen, that we just get more sort of like large stadium action between these beasts. That's all we want to see. These things going head to head, and the graphics look good enough.
It does look good. I feel that's always the
You've
key
all been
point.
so good with lockdown. Maybe you deserve this. Let's all be good until the 26th of March, and then maybe we get to see Godzilla vs. Kong.
There we go. Well, that was Movies with JP Sebastian this morning. Of course, the latest trailers that has released.